Hey everybody, and welcome to From the Cornucopia, a channel about things. Today is a rant. Not really a rant, honestly. This is my first video, and I made a promise to myself that it would be about squash for a reason. Hey, in a year you're gonna get one about sirloin, and isn't that great? Anyways, so let's talk about squash. Let's get a good squash color. Yeah. You know, Plants vs. Zombies, the game that I guess used a bunch of AI upscaling and upset everybody. There's new re-release, which kind of sucks because I love playing Plants vs. Zombies. But I play classic, so it's all good. But anyways, so we're talking squash. Because squash are, well, they're interesting. They're an interesting fruit. And yes, they are a fruit. They have seeds. So they're a fruit. People consider them vegetables because of the flavor profile, and there's a thing called culinary vegetables, I believe is what they're kind of referred to. And it's just what you call anything that flavor profile tastes more vegetable-ish than fruitish. So, you know, squash often fall into the quote-unquote vegetable tier, but they're not vegetables, they're fruit. Anyways, so let's talk about squash. Squash are a subgenus, or they're a genus of plant, particularly the fruiting part of the plant from the family Cucurbitas, which is, you know, it's just what they're called, Cucurbitas. And believe it or not, cucumbers are not squash, unless I'm wrong, which is possible. But the thing about squash is, number one, big fruit. Big fruit. Look at that. Number two, autumnal. Did you see that? You know what that is? That's right. Canada. And number three, they're what I'm talking about right now. So, there's me yapping. Anyways, so in regards to squash, there's a lot of stuff to learn. And by a lot of stuff, I mean, again, I have to make this video. I promised myself I would. So I had to come up with something. And I sat for a while and I thought, well, who's the king of the squash? And by changing my color, I think we all know where this is going. We're talking bumpkins. Look at that. It's a bumpkin. Pumpkins are great. They are the most well-known squash, and you know, it's autumn right now, so it's squashing time, or pumpkin time. And that's what leads me to the main topic of this video, is the pumpkin, and more particularly how the pumpkin became kind of the trademark it's Halloween time thing. It's like you see a pumpkin and you're like, oh yeah, it's Halloween. Or you could be like, oh, it's Thanksgiving. But it's like, it doesn't take much to turn a pumpkin into a jack-o'-lantern, you know? Look, jack-o'-lantern, pumpkin. What's the difference? This. Now that's also a jack-o'-lantern. Anyways, so how did the jack-o'-lantern become a Halloween thing? This is actually an interesting little topic. Now, I am horrible at pronouncing stuff, so I had to look it up several times. But I believe it is pronounced Samhain, which is spelled like Sam Hay. It's like Sam. I believe it's spelled like this, Samhain. But this is what Halloween originally was. And again, it's pronounced Samhain. And it is the transferring of the year into the darker months, as they call it, which is, you know, 6 months is a year where it gets darker earlier, yada, yada, yada. It was seen as a spiritual time because of the shifting from the lighter part of the year, where it's sunny, to the darker part of the year, where it's moony. And the thing about Samhain is it is Gaelic, I believe. It might be Celtic, particularly, which is and don't quote me on this. a subsect of I believe all the Gaelics, and then there's the Celts, which are primarily on Ireland. But the Gaelic at one point in time were all over Europe, and eventually they kind of got stuck onto the island. I don't want to call them the British Isles because we're talking about the Celts, which are on Ireland, which isn't part of Britain. But you know what I mean. So if this is all of Europe, this is just a real rough kind of. Here's the boot. And then, I got to switch over to the eraser because I forgot about the Nords, who come from the north. There we go. So that's Europe. Gaelic were all over it. And then eventually they kind of got pushed into here. And the Celts as well. So Samhain is European. And cucumbria, or squash, are not European. They are actually from the quote-unquote New World. America. And South America. So, let's see. Boom. 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 See, I'm doing this from memory. You got the little penis down here. That is Florida. Then you got all Canada, which is like all those islands. And then it kind of sticks out there because it's Alaska. And then it turns into South America. But this is where cucumbria is from, not Europe. New World. Not Europe. But Halloween is from Europe. Let's get a better check. Check. It is from Europe. But not squash. So how did a European holiday become the flagship for a squash, a non-European fruit? Well, that folds all the way back to, actually not all the way back. It's a lot newer than Samhain or Samhain. See, you want to say Samhain because that's how it's spelled. And again, this might be spelled wrong. I didn't double check before I wrote it down, but I do know that it is spelled way different than Samhain. That's how Celtic, Gaelic, all that stuff. They have, I believe, like, look into any of those names, like names for people from there, and it is spelled way different than you would expect. So I do apologize. But so Samhain is old, around like 4,000 years old, depending on where you look. I found something on Newgrange, I believe was the website, that kind of put it to a little bit above 2,000 years. Meanwhile, the original jack-o'-lantern, which come from Stingy Jack, is much newer. I believe it's only a couple hundred years old, maybe 1,000 at most. But that's Stingy Jack. The story of Stingy Jack is a classic tale of a man. And the man is stingy. And he finds a way to trick the devil. And he tricks the devil into not being able to take his soul. And the devil's like, oh, dang. That stinks. So, Stingy Jack goes on living, and then he croaks. And then he goes up to heaven, and he's like, hello, it's me, Angel Jack. And they're like, dude, you suck. Get out of here. So he couldn't go to hell because hell didn't want, or hell couldn't have him. It was part of the deal. So he was essentially cursed. No, that looks like gloop. I want it to look more like ghost. There we go. He dies. Goes up to heaven. Heaven doesn't want him. He can't go to hell. So he's stuck wandering earth. And he's just like real upset about it. Because like, oh, I can't die. Oh, this stinks. Here's earth. And eventually the devil's like, Hey, Stingy Jack, you bum. Take this. And he gives him a... Actually, let's change the color. Piece of ever-burning coal. That's right. Everybody's favorite. Coal. You gotta love coal. So hot. So fun to hold. And that's exactly how... hold on. I am messing up. Let's see. You should be right there. And you should be way shorter. There we go. Anyways, ever-burning coal. And the coal burns forever. And it's like Stingy Jack doesn't want to hold it because it's coal and it burns. And you can't die, but it still hurts. So instead of holding on to the ever-burning coal, Stingy Jack throws it in a turnip. That's right. Exactly the vegetable you thought it would be. A turnip. And he carves the turnip to have a little hole. Some people say it had a little face. And Jack had a lantern that held coal. A jack-o'-lantern. Now, again, this is before, New World fruits like the squash came over to Europe and were popularized. But when Samhain came over to America as Halloween and everything, and then people were looking to make their jack-o'-lanterns, turnips are pretty small. I mean, they can get pretty big. But would you rather have a canvas like this or something more like this? So people started using pumpkins for jack-o'-lanterns. And that spread all the way back to Europe and everywhere. So now, when you think Halloween, you think jack-o'-lantern. And when you think jack-o'-lantern, you think pumpkin, not turnip. But that's really all I have to say, except for one other thing, which I think is very important. It's another part of this rant. And this part is about... Let's see. Can you guess what this is? It's really poorly drawn because I don't have my Cintiq. I only have my Intuos. What could it be? What is it? That's right. Mermaid cup. I can't draw mermaid very good in there. There we go. There we go. Never mind. I did awesome. That's exactly what Starbucks looks like. But the pumpkin spice. Pumpkin spice as an idea has no pumpkin in it. And this is just like something that I want to rant about. Pumpkin spice is, I believe, cinnamon, allspice, and nutmeg. No pumpkin. So it's called pumpkin spice and not pumpkin flavored because it is the spices that go on a pumpkin pie. So it doesn't taste like pumpkin at all. And I like pumpkin flavor. So it is a bit of a bummer for me personally that I can't go and get pumpkin flavored lattes. Unless you go to certain places that actually have pumpkin flavored. But when you go to pumpkin spice, a lot of the time it's just these 3 spices, maybe another one. But it doesn't have any pumpkin. And I think that is a crime in its own. Anyways, thanks for spending time watching me doodle. Like I said, I just wanted to rant about squash, make this one video, get a video out, and be done with my first video. Next time I'll probably make something more interesting. I have thoughts about AI, and not intelligent thoughts. They are rants from a writer's point of view, somebody who likes AI fictionally. So I want to do something about AI. I have a bunch of stuff that I want to rant about, but I promised myself first I'd make a video about squash. And I just did. So look at that. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed. And see you next time. Yeah, that's good. That's good.